Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer, and today we have some very exciting things. The Civilization VII gameplay reveal was today, so in this video we're gonna go ahead and look at the gameplay reveal trailer, and then I'm gonna do an analysis of the much longer gameplay reveal that they did on the live stream. That one's about 30 minutes long, so it's gonna take me a while to analyze all of that, but that will be coming out hopefully very shortly. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into things. I'm just going to play the trailer and then stop and talk about it as it goes on. If you want to watch the trailer in its full uninterrupted form, I'll go ahead and I'll put a link to that in the video description below. But let's go ahead and see what they have in Civilization VII.
Civilization was a game that was created during a time when we were just discovering what games could be. And we said, let's put the entire history of the world into a game and make it fun.
All right, I'm going to stop and pause already because here we have our very first look at gameplay from Civilization VII, and just from this literally like immediate screenshot, we're only like 1 second into the actual gameplay, but from this very first screenshot of Civ VII, there is already so many things to take in. Obviously, we can see that the scale of the cities in this game is going to be much larger than anything we've seen in any Civ games before. You can really just see the urban sprawl that we have here. We have the Eiffel Tower there. We have Notre Dame off in the right. Some big castle thing off in the left over there. We have all of these buildings. You can see even the road networks within the cities themselves, all of these individual buildings within the cities. And, well, I'll spoil it now because I, of course, have watched the full gameplay reveal, but cities are now expandable tile by tile. So say you build a granary will go on the tile next to your city center and actually expand the city. So we already know we're getting expanding cities in Civ VII, very similar to what is going on in Humankind. And as we look at a lot of the things in Civ VII, you'll notice that there are a lot of similarities to Humankind, but I'll perhaps talk about that in a later video. For now, though, let's go ahead and continue the trailer. And let's stop it already. Another thing that we're seeing here, we're seeing some of the terrain. You can see that there's obviously these very nice kind of desert, I don't even know what to call these things, desert cliff formations that are going on here. The terrain looks a lot more varied than anything we've seen in Civ 6 or previous Civ games. You can obviously see that we have a volcano there, so presumably we are getting natural disasters back again. There appears to be a floodplain around the river up in the top of the screen. You can see that we have camels dotted around, which means camels are probably going to be a resource in Civilization VII. The other thing that I want to point out is that there looks to be a lot more verticality in the map compared to Civ 6 or any previous Civ compared to that. And I'm specifically talking about the point in between the two mountains. So obviously in previous Civ games we've had mountains and things like that and hills, but in terms of actual verticality it doesn't seem that extreme. But you can see that the point in between the two mountain features here actually looks like it's probably navigable. It's not 100% sure, but it looks like there's a decent bit more of actual like vertical features here, and we're going to see that more on this trailer, which I'll stop and point out later on. But yeah, you can see camels, there appears to be a dust storm, floodplains. So all of these things, there's maybe some kind of gem up in the top left part that I can't quite see, maybe like a quartz or a gypsum or something like that, probably a luxury or bonus resource, but obviously these are things that are very much staples to the Civ franchise, so not really any surprises that they are coming back. And now here's the thing that I think has gotten a lot of people excited. You can see that there is a boat sailing up this large river here, which means that we are going to have navigable rivers in Civilization VII. I know that this is a thing that a lot of people have been asking for in many previous Civ games. They've been asking for navigable rivers. We're finally going to get them now. You can sail boats up rivers. If I go back real fast to the previous part with the desert thing, you can see that there appears to be like multiple types of river. So the one around the floodplain appears to be just like a standard river as you would have seen in Civ 6, but then you can see that where the two floodplains join up, it kind of forms a wider river. So I don't think all rivers are going to be navigable in the game. It seems like probably just a few of them, but nonetheless, we're going to have navigable rivers, which is something that was very requested from a lot of previous Civ games. The other thing I want to point out here is just I didn't stop to talk about it in some of the previous things, but the variety of terrains and landscapes that we're seeing here. We had that very interesting desert environment. We had sort of a jungle-looking environment. We had an Arctic environment. The color palettes for all of these actually look very, quite varied between them, and I think they look very unique and much more actually diverse than what we've seen in previous Civ games. You can see in this one we have some palm trees. It looks fairly tropical in some of the previous ones. We had some different looking jungle. We had some, some snowy areas. And I do want to just talk about the art style in general in this game. I'm sure you've noticed already, but it seems to be a bit more realistic than Civ VI. Not quite to the level of like targeting actual realism, but a little bit more realistic. Maybe still some bright colors, a little more muted than Civ VI, a little less cartoony, but still a little more animated than something like Civ V, which I think aimed for actually a realistic art style. And so far, actually, I'm really liking the look of the visuals in this game. I think they look really good with the exception of one thing that I will talk about in a little bit. I'm of course going to pause it again. Obviously, we have a big hurricane here, which means that we are, getting even more natural disasters. You can also see some of the ships here. I think that the models for the ships in this game look absolutely incredible. They look so big and so detailed that I think they just look really cool. Looks like we also have some horses down there in the bottom left and some interesting land masses that are around that volcano. You can see that we're getting some screenshots of some of the combat here, so it looks pretty in-depth. I really like the details that have gone into the animations in the combat in this game. I feel like they're a lot more detailed than what we've seen in previous Civ games. Is it going to make me not turn on quick combat? Probably not, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, once again, I feel like the ship part especially just looks so cool. You also saw some little time-lapse stuff, an overview of kind of a flyover of one of the empires. You can really see the scale of the cities in this one, how they really kind of sprawl out across the islands that they're placed on, which leads me to wonder if there are going to be builders in Civ VII, because I don't see really any tile improvements aside from the ones that are connected to the city center. As I mentioned, they showed in some of the other stuff that if you build a granary or something, it expands to a tile. So I don't know if this means that builders are no more in Civ VII or what. I mean, they've kind of been going away from builders as the Civ games have gone on. You used to have workers with unlimited charges, and then in Civ 6 you got builders with limited charges. Maybe they've just gotten rid of them entirely in Civ 7. We'll have to see. I'm going to stop on this one that looks like, I don't know, the Inca or something like that. And here you can really see what I was talking about with the verticality of the map. Look at the part on the left of the screen and compare it to the part on the right of the screen. It looks like these are all city tiles, but look at the difference in elevation between the two. So it looks like there's probably going to be multiple levels of elevation. Instead of the simple, flatland, hills, or mountain, which you can't even stand on the mountain that we've seen in previous Civ games, it looks like there's actually going to be tiers to elevation that you can go up and actually build on and interact on, which I think that's going to be really cool for adding some, a little bit of variety to the map. That was something that they did in Humankind as well. There were levels to the elevation in Humankind. Sounds like they're bringing that into Civ as well, which I think is really going to add some cool things to the map generation and hopefully to the gameplay as well when it comes to doing things like fighting or building or anything like that. All right, now here's the thing. I mentioned I like the graphics. For whatever reason, this leader animation just looks janky. The leader models, they don't look horrible, but what is going on? I don't know, is that, Julius Caesar, Augustus Caesar? What is going on with that dude's hair? It's really not looking the best, but I mean, granted, there are still several months until this game comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if things are not in a totally finished state. If you remember for Civ 6, they had the Teddy Roosevelt model that looked very fat before the game actually came out, but they updated it by the time the game came out. But yeah, the leader models here look a little bit interesting. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of them just yet. They're, as mentioned before with the rest of the graphics, they're at least a bit more realistic than Civ 6, but yeah, I don't know. Something's just not quite looking right with them and their animations in this little snippet here. The other thing I want to point out here with all of these things we've seen is just the absolute variety in architecture style and stuff like that. You really could see it there with some of the industrial era, European looking things, some of the more medieval era Japanese, Chinese, just general Asian style that we have there, and then some Central American temples and things like that. It really looks like there's a lot of artistic style going on to the various buildings that we're going to see in the game. All right, so more along the lines of disasters and things like that. We see tornadoes, we see volcanoes, we see what appears to be a thunderstorm. There's like a nice lightning strike in the background, and once again, a lot more of that diversity in terrain I'm talking about. Like, you know, we have the desert environment. Once again, we have palm trees. You can see what looks like, you know, like kind of an alpine forest or just pine trees. I don't really know what to call that one, but yeah, lots of very interesting terrain that we're seeing compared to the previous Civ games. And then, of course, we have the nice launching of a rocket. I feel like that's a very symbolic Civ thing for some reason, just because it's so unanimous with the science victory that we see that it appears that I would assume science victory is going to come back in Civ. That's obviously, you know, a very big Civ staple of science victory, you know, getting it to the end of the tech tree, sending something to space, maybe, you know, sending a new colony. I imagine we're going to see science victory back, but they haven't mentioned any of the victory types yet, so we're going to have to wait and see exactly what gets revealed with regards to that. And as you saw there, the release date for Civilization VII is February 11th of 2025, which is really not that far away. That's like, what, 4-ish months? I can't do math, actually. That's 6 months, not 4 months. You know, just ignore that. But yeah, about 6 months away, which is very exciting. I'm sure we're going to get plenty of more information between now and then. As I mentioned, they did a live stream where they showed some more gameplay, so I am going to be doing some analysis of that, probably in separate videos just about each new feature that they revealed in that. So be looking out for that. Make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss any of that. I'd really like to hit 100,000 subscribers before Civ VII comes out, so if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And now I'm just going to complain a little bit before I end the video, because it, of course, would not be any, you know, type of gameplay reveal or anything like that without a little bit of complaining. But you can see here on the last screen, we have the advertisement for pre-order the Standard Edition to receive the Tecumseh and Shawnee pack. And if you get 5 days early access and more with the Deluxe and Founders Editions, it was kind of a little bit of a problem in Civ VI that they did have a lot of DLC and a lot of monetization in that game. It seems like that's coming back for Civ VII, because I don't know if you've seen the prices. Civ VII, the base game is $70, the Deluxe Edition is $100, and the Founders Edition I think it's $130, that's pretty expensive. You know, obviously the base game has gone up $10. Obviously inflation and stuff, you know, has been a thing because Civ 6 came out in 2016, which, you know, a little bit of a long time ago, but yeah, it seems like they're going pretty hard on the monetization. I'm going to give my usual spiel of please do not pre-order this game, or any game for a matter of fact. Wait until the game comes out, see if it's actually good, and then buy the game. The pre-order stuff is just, it really drives me a little bit crazy. But, you know, some people want to pre-order, and that's, you know, go ahead if you want. But yeah, if you do that, you're just kind of encouraging them to do more stuff like this, where you get content that's paywalled behind pre-orders or paywalled behind Deluxe and Founders Editions. So that's just a little bit of my soapbox. My second soapbox is that I see so many people on the internet already complaining about either the art style or complaining about the UI, complaining about the mechanics of this game. Everybody just relax. The game comes out in 6 months. Not everything is finalized yet, and you haven't even played it yet. You don't even know if it's any good or not. Maybe something looks bad and it won't be bad. I'll give the little spiel of, before, basically, those of you who have been in the Civ community for a while know that for every single Civ release, it goes like this. The game is announced, everybody complains about the art, they complain about the mechanics because they're different from the previous Civ game, they complain that the game is incomplete, the game comes out, people are like, eh. 5 years goes by, the game gets DLC, it gets a lot of love, all of a sudden it's the greatest Civ game that's ever been released. It happened with Civ 5, it happened with Civ 6, happened with Civ 4, and then the next game after that one gets released, all of a sudden the previous one that everybody hated before is now the best one that's ever been created, and the new one sucks. So there's going to be a lot of negative talk about Civ 7. I'm going to complain about it probably at least a little bit, but let's all just make sure we don't complain too much. Don't count this game as either being the greatest Civ or the worst Civ before we've even played it. So that's my little soapbox on that. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for some more Civilization VII content, I had to think about saying that one for a second, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.